Hello, this is Brian Scuttle of Sonic Cinema. I wanted to offer my 2 cents on Joe Wright's The Woman in the Window, which debuted this past weekend on Netflix after 20th Century Studios basically sold off the rights to release it, and so we got that this after a long birth. It's taken a few years for this one to get released, and needless to say, it was not really worth the wait. There's a lot to process with this movie, which stars Amy Adams as a psychiatrist who is an agoraphobic woman who is living in New York, and she is separated from her husband and daughter. At least that's what we're led to believe at first. And she basically is taken to spying on her neighbors. And she thinks she witnesses a violent crime. And that basically leads us down the psychological path that this movie is intended on taking us to. If that sounds like Rear Window, if that sounds like Hitchcock's Spellbound is another one that is at least seen on screen briefly. This movie is very much intended to be a Hitchcockian thriller. It's based on a book, and I've heard the book is good. I can't imagine what that looks like, having seen the movie. Obviously, with the movie, there's going to be different contexts in terms of adaptation and trying to adapt something for the screen that you're not necessarily, that's easier to reflect on the page. But this movie just doesn't really work in any way, shape, or form. The tone of it is pitched at a very high level. It feels like Amy Adams' performance in this movie is basically at the same level constantly. There's not really the differing levels of, calm and paranoia and anxiety and being able to control herself throughout this film. She constantly feels like people are against her, which, again, playing into the Hitchcockian tropes in this movie. And the movie is just everybody's performance. I think Julianne Moore probably gives the strongest performance. Wyatt Russell is actually very good as well, but Julianne Moore in her one scene probably captures something more in her performance in terms of complexity of character and just in general just appreciation for what this type of movie is that we get out of anybody else. Gary Oldman is essentially playing Gary Oldman. Take that for what you will. Brian Tyree Henry is good as a cop who comes whenever there are crimes being called in by Amy Adams' character. This is really disappointing because of the fact that Joe Wright is really quite good with genre. If you watched Hannah, his 2011 thriller, he can do that type of genre entry very well and very successfully. And this one just is not it. It's unfortunate. I love Danny Elfman as a composer. I don't think his score adds anything to this movie, and I really would have liked to have heard what Dario Marianelli was able to do. See if he would have been able to maybe get more into Hitchcock's or Bernard Herrmann's musical sensibilities for this movie than Elfman does, which is ironic because I know how much Elfman revered Bernard Herrmann over the years. This movie, I can't really say it's one of those movies that's like it's so bad it's good. I don't think it's not that good. It's not that bad to where it's entertaining. It just feels like it has a very weird tone to it and has a very weird pitch to it, especially if you kind of get an idea of where the film is going, where the story is going. But those are my thoughts on The Woman in the Window. I don't recommend it. I don't know that I will ever watch it again. I hope that this is the last time that Amy Adams sort of feels this lost in a movie again. And I hope we see better things from her and Joe Wright in the past, because I think Joe Wright is capable of making very good movies, but this is certainly not it. So that's it for me. This is Brian Scuttle with this quick take on The Woman in the Window. Thank you very much.